and natural hazards. In this community health and natural hazards such as volcanoes, landslides, tsunamis, floods, droughts. So all these natural hazards and their remedial measures and what are the precautions and how we are going to reduce these natural hazards. How can we be able to minimize the reduces and maximize the benefits? So all these things we came to know that in the previous chapters. And today, the last unit, the need of environmental education, the need of environmental education and the scope of environmental education and science. So what is the environmental education and how it is needed? So what is the scope of environmental education? So in these two units, would like to learn today, we are going to learn today. So for this, so environmental education, as we know, the environmental science is a multidisciplinary branch. So it is going to connect, and also it is going to be linked with the other several branches, life science branches. So the environmental science, it is a multidisciplinary science branch. So it is going to be connected with all the branches which is related to the earth science and the living beings or life science branches which are going to be connected. So all these aspects which are going to be quite related with the environmental science and how it is play an important role in the each and every living being. So environmental science, it has been whatever the impacts or whatever the effects which are resulted in the environment, so that the environment will be definitely vice versa, it is going to be effect on the environmental scenario. So whatever the living being is present, so whatever the organism is existing in the environment, so it has quite it is going to be impact on each and every living being on the part of environmental science. So the importance or the scope or the objectives of environmental geology, it is very clearly, we know that whatever the human interactions or whatever the human involvement is there, so each and every interactions with the human beings, between the human beings and environment, it is going to be take a part of life of every living being. So whatever the organisms which are present in the environment, that organism either it is going to be fit or either it is going to be survival. So it depends upon the environmental conditions. So whatever the environmental conditions that we directly or indirectly which are going to be influenced on the environment. So actually the pleasant nature or whatever the ancient or earlier environment which we are obtained from our ancestors, that is very a good balancing or very pleasant environment. But due to the span of millions of years, so this environment is going to be got changed or maybe got polluted or it has been imbalanced. So here, let me show some material which is going to be shown very clearly. So all these activities which are going to be shared the screen. Yeah, see the environmental education and awareness. This is our last unit in which so there are several scope. Generally, the topics which are comes under which we are going to be included. What is environmental education? The importance of environmental education, aims and objectives of environmental education, and scope of environmental education. Mostly, whatever the environmental changes or environmental imbalance which are takes place by the several agents or factors which are which are going to be involved. So here there are several factors which are going to be influenced in all these ways. So the environmental education is a study of the environment. So what is the environmental education? It is a study of environment. let us go to learn about the environment. So the environmental education is the study of environment, to learn about the environment. So it is a process in which the individuals explore the environmental issues and take appropriate and required actions to improve the conditions or any hitches in the environment. So as we know, the environmental education is a study or is a process of learning about the environment. So in this process, each and every individuals which are going to be explore the environmental issues, each and every individual, it is their play to role. They are going to be explore the environmental issues and take appropriate and required actions to improve the conditions or any hitches in the environment. So the required actions, appropriate and required actions to improve the conditions of the environment. So generally, the environmental education individuals develop a much deeper understanding of the environment and the environmental issues. It enables them to make responsible decisions towards the betterment of the environment. So generally, in this education, each and every individual, it is a responsibility to develop a much deeper understanding about the environment. So, and the environmental issues, each and every individual in this education, each and every individual person, each and every head has to be understand the environment or whatever the environmental issues, each and everyone has to be understand in a deeper sense of meaning or in a beautiful meaning way. It enables them to make responsible so that education make them the people, make them the persons, make them the each and every individuals to responsible and decisions towards the betterment of the environment. So this education make them people. By the education, by the study of the environmental education, it is going to make them the people to betterment, to take the decisions towards the betterment of the environment. So as we know, what is environmental education? As we know, the environmental education is a field of study which consists of organized efforts, and so the put together to understand to each and teach how natural environments function. So in this environmental education, each and everything we are going to be learn, we are going to be study about the environments. So it efforts put together to understand and teach how natural environments function, how the natural environment is going to functioning. It also deals with the studying how human beings manage their behavior and ecosystems to live sustainable lives. So in this education, each and every human beings manage their behavior and ecosystems to live sustainable lives. So the environmental education is a multidisciplinary field, as I already told that it is a multidisciplinary branch that includes ideas and concepts from various fields like biology, chemistry, physics, ecology, earth science, atmospheric sciences, mathematics, and geography. All those fields, various fields which are going to be interconnected with the environmental science, mostly the biology. So botany and zoology, biology, biological science, chemistry, physics, ecology, geology or earth sciences, geography, atmospheric sciences, all these together which are going to be involved or have some whatever the information which is going to be required from other branches also. So what is the importance of environmental education? What is the importance of environmental education? Is there any importance to study about the environmental education? Yes, every human on this earth has a role to play for the environment. And it gives us everything we need. Everything we need: shelter, food, water, and recreation, etc. whatever the things or whatever the primary things which we need to survive in the society, that primary things which would comes from the nature only. Yes, whatever the things which we primarily need to survival of each and every living being, that primary things or needs or materials which would like to comes from the nature only. So they are mostly shelter. First, shelter. We need some shelter to stay. And food, isn't it? As we need food and water and recreation, etc. So whatever the necessities which we need, that will comes from the environment only. So the points given below with the help of understanding the importance of environmental. So what are the importance issues related to the environmental education which are given below? They are the first one. Environmental education is one of the subjects in this curriculum in schools. When children study the environment and its functions, they develop a sense of understanding of the environment in the early stage of their life. This is the first point. For the study of environmental education, it is one of the major subject or major field. So if it is included in the school level, when the children then so that the children can able to study the environment and its function, so that the children may develop a sense of understanding, a sense of humor about understanding the environment in the early stage of their life. Coming to second point, it is important to increase the awareness of individuals about the environment. So it is a study of important to increase the awareness of individuals about the environment. With the help of environmental education, people's knowledge about the environment is instilled into every country's citizens. So everyone has to know about the environmental importance, environmental education, and environmental function, natural environment functions, and it's helps to the each and every living beings. That environmental knowledge should be each and every person has to be known, so that each and everyone has the responsibility to develop the environment or to avoid the demolish of environment or to avoid the whatever spoiling of environment when we know the importance of environment. And also there are a lot of environmental issues that the world is facing. There are several lot of big issues, a lot of environmental issues that the world is going to be facing, isn't it? To avoid them in the future, people need to understand the environmental and take a proper care of it. So there are a lot of environmental issues around us. There are a lot of environmental issues around us that we are going to facing now. But to avoid them in the future, the people need to understand the environment in a deeper sense of meaning, and also to take a proper care about the environment. It can only be done with the help of environmental education. So these things should be known when we are aware of the environment, when we are gone through the environment, when we are knowing the environment, the facts. When we know the facts about the environment, when we know the environmental uses or environmental the nature environment or the natural environment uses, so that we can able to understand and so that we can able to behave itself. And general, The environmental education polishes the various other skills of an individual. The ability to make a decisions is strengthened with environmental education as people become more responsible and aware. As people become more responsive and aware. As we know, the individuals can deal with any environmental problem. Individuals can deal with any environmental problem through environmental education. This in turn increase a problem solving skills. If you know that in each and every individuals can able to deal with any environmental issues through environmental education. We can sort out the environmental problems with the environmental education. One develops sensitivity towards the environment because of the environmental issues have been happening for a long time. In this way, each individual takes any action by keeping in mind the harm it can cause to the environment. So each and every have been happening for a long time. So each individual takes any action by keeping in mind the harm, whatever the harm it can cause to the environment. How we are going to, am I going to any harm to the environment? Isn't it? Are we going to harm to the environment? So such type of questions, keep it in front of you, keep it in your mind and behave itself. Isn't it? So there is no particular viewpoint that is advocated through environmental education. All the aspects are taken into consideration to reach an informed decision. Isn't it? Just no one can solve the issues that arise in the environment. The environmental education makes an individual rich in the knowledge of the environment so that the best possible solutions can be provided for even the smallest of situations the environment faces. So if you know the rich knowledge about the environment, when we know the rich knowledge, when we have the rich knowledge of the environment, so that we can best possibility situations or best possible solutions can be provided for even the smallest of situation the environment faces. So next, coming to the importance of environmental education. Then what are the aims and objectives of environmental education? Aims and objectives of environmental education. As we know, generally, the primary aim of environmental education is to make people aware of the environment and its associated problems. The major aim of the environmental education is to aware the people. We should make the people to aware of the environment and its associated problems. What are the problems which are associated with the environment? And we should make them people to aware of the environment and its problems. So the study involves knowledge, skills, motivation, attitude, and commitment to work individually and collectively towards solutions to current problems. So the study which are going to involve the major involvement or major aim of the environmental education is to involve the knowledge, skills, motivation, attitude, and commitment to work individually, to work individual development. Each and every person has to feel responsibility. Yes, it is my responsibility to protect the environment. It is my responsibility to eco-friendly, isn't it? So we should make them awareness in the people. We should make them skills and motivation and way of attitude and our commitment mostly. So there are various objectives. That the study of environment education tends to achieve, isn't it? There are various objectives are there that the study of environmental education tends to achieve. To achieve the environmental education or to sort out the environmental issues, to achievement, we should have the awareness. We should have the knowledge also. The environmental awareness. The environmental awareness is one of the fundamental objectives. Yes, every person, every individual has to know the environmental knowledge. Everyone has to be aware of the environment. Be thorough in the environmental knowledge. So environmental awareness too is to understand the fundamental objectives that any subject of study offers through environmental education. Awareness about the environment, the issues of the environment and the solutions for the problems are generated. In addition, there is a proper understanding as to why there are various functions present in the environment. Yes, the environmental education focuses the people. There is a proper understanding. In addition to that, there is a proper understanding is required as to why there are various functions present in the environment. The environmental awareness is to understand the fragility of our environment and the importance of its protection. Promoting environmental awarenesses is an easy way to become an environmental steward and participate protection. So in creating a brighter future for our children, environmental awareness is an integral part of the movement's success. By teaching our friends and family, that the physical environment is fragile and indispensable, we can begin fixing the problems that threaten it. As we know, it is an easy way to become an individual environmental steward and participation. So as we know, the environmental awareness is an integral part of the movements to success. So by teaching our parents, by teaching our friends, by teaching our students and other people and family that physical environment is fragile and indispensable, then how we are going to promote the environmental programs, isn't it? How do we promote the environmental programs? In what way we are going to promote the environmental education, or how the promotion? To, as we know, to begin promoting environmental awareness in your community, you must first make sure that you have through understanding of environmental issues. So if you want to make the promotion, or if you want to make the promote the environmental programs at your village level or at your family level, first you must make sure, isn't it? First, you must make sure that you have a thorough understanding of environmental issues. మనం ఏదైనా ఎవరికైనా చెప్పాలంటే ఏం చేయాలి? ఫస్ట్ we have to well mature, we have to well known, మనకు బాగా తెలిసినదే ఉండాలి. So if you have the full knowledge on that, so that you can able to explain very clearly and you can make them to understand easily, isn't it? So like that. So up to date, make sure through the understanding of environmental issues, stay up to date on environmental news. So you should be update always. You should be update always what is going on in environmental matters. Is there any news isn't it? Is there any updated news about the environment? You read the books, many books and other resources, and learn about the issues affecting your own community. Read the many books about the environment to understand, to deeper understanding about the environment. And other resources and learn about the issues also. You should also learn about the issues. What are the environmental issues are produced from the environment, and how am I going to reduce those problems or those issues? How can I able to stop those such problems from the environment? Isn't it? It's much easier to talk to others about the environment if you have already taken the time to educate yourself. It is very easy. It is a small task to talk. It is easier way to talk to others about the environment. But if you are already taken the time to educate yourself, if you are educate yourself, if you are know everything about the environment, if you know the much knowledge, or if you have the rich knowledge about the environment, then you can able to teach your friends or your family or your village people, isn't it? So this is the way which are going to be considered the various ways, and it's much easier way, and the numerous resources are available to promote environmental awareness and education. So there are numerous ways and resources are also available to promote environmental awareness and education. A group learning inside or outside of the classroom, informational and inspirational seminars, informational and inspirational seminars, online courses, books, articles, videos, and brochures are just a few of the tools or teaching aids that can get you involved in promoting the environment. So these are the several ways to promote the environmental education, promote the environmental importance, to promote the environmental objects or aims. So group learning inside or outside of the classroom is also important. And information and inspirational seminars. The inspirational seminars or inspirational what we will call it, lectures and information and online courses, even the books or some people PowerPoint presentations or articles or videos and brochures are just a few of the tools, isn't it? Tools that can get you involved in promoting the environment. So these are the ways. So online classes, reading of books, group learning inside and outside of the classroom, isn't it? And articles and videos and brochures and pamphlets, all these are the ways to aware the people. So environmental education helps a person gain knowledge. The environmental education helps a person to gain the knowledge of information about the current happenings in the environment. So there is a in-depth and proper education that is provided about the environment and the factors of the environment. So if you are going to provide a sufficient data or sufficient knowledge to the person so that he can able to responsible and so that he can able to deliver or make the way the people in a broad way. And coming to responsibility, as we know, it is only when we understand the reasons behind the disruption in the environment. So when we have the responsibility, only when we understand about the importance of environment. When we give the protection, when we feel responsibility towards the environment, means it is to understand the reasons behind the disruptions. So you may know when the environment is disturbed, when the environment got interruptions, isn't it? We can take a proper steps to prevent them. The individuals understanding which activities harm the environment. The individuals understand which activities harm the environment, be it small or big, and take necessary precautions to face the advantage. It also helps in taking any future actions or decision responsibility. And coming to participation, as we know, participation also one of the important. It's also dive a deeper into particular subject. So we need to get more involved in it. The environment concerns us all, so we must have the environment and prevent it from being harmed. So environmental education individuals are encouraged to portion in saving and taking care of the environment. As they became aware of the harm they can cause to their lives. So generally, how we are going to create a new patterns with the associated environmental problems. With increased awareness of the harm that man's actions are causing to the environment. With increased awareness of the harm that man's actions are causing to the environment. The environmental education aims to create a new behavior patterns and attitudes towards the environment. This result in less harm as the new pattern is aimed to being environmental friendly. So the environmental education aims to create to make the people to understand the complexity, to create a new behavioral changes or behavior patterns and attitudes towards the environment. So this behavioral changes in the environment is favorable to the environment so that the environment results in less harm us. Isn't less harm us? Then coming to understanding the complexity of environment. Understanding the complexity of environment. As we know, the environmental complexity is very high, isn't it? That environment we humans live in is complex and involves the various activities that happen within it. So as we know, the environmental education, it is aimed to proper mitigations. So which are going to be takes place, whatever the environmental issues or whatever the environmental changes. So the environmental education is aimed to, it is aimed to focuses or whatever the environmental education is major aim to protect or to know the knowledge, to make the people aware, and so that each and every individual, so that each and individual person make them their responsibility towards a better decision or better future environment. So it is a major aim. It is a major aim. The environmental education is a major aim to create the awareness in the people. To create the awareness in the people, to make the motivation, to make the inspiration about the natural environment. About the natural environment. So due to the human interactions or human involvement, how the environmental problems are arise, isn't it? What are the environmental problems are produced with the effect of human developmental activities, isn't it? So with the increasing human developmental activities, which are going to be facing the environmental issues or the environmental problems. So once the problems are arise, or once the problems are becomes complexity, as we know, the increasing the complexity by doing the human being attitude because of lack of knowledge, lack of skill, lack of awareness, lack of motivation, and lack of environmental knowledge. To all these, the peoples generally behaves, most of the people generally behaves their own development. They feel that this is my development only. So regarding to my development, that person can do any activities, any type of activities that which are going to be affect on the environment. So that when the people are aware, or when the people are having a rich knowledge about the environment, definitely they should feel, each and everyone has to feel, and they will towards a meaningful way of environmental protection. So it is a major aim. Why? Because whatever the changes which you are making the environment, the people are going to be affect the environment. Maybe if it is not that same day or same week or same month, which is not going to be impacted back to on us. It may take some much time, or maybe after few years, or maybe after next generations, it is going to be impact. So in all these aspects, which are going to be towards wherever the practices, just best practices towards a friendly environment, that which are going to be connect, or which are going to be make the environment as better way. So that is why the promoting, how we are going to promoting the environmental awareness to the people, by using newspapers, by using the seminars, by making the videos, isn't it? There are several ways to create the knowledge, to create the skill about the environment. So all these factors are going to play a much role or important role to learn or to study about the environmental education. So the scope and importance of the environmental education, that is the scope. There is a scope is there. There is importance is there. Otherwise, whatever, as I already told that, whatever the primary things or primary needs which we need, that will provide the environment. That will provide by the environment. So that we should have to protect the environment. So if you want to, if you are ready to teach about the environment, you should be first make sure. You should be first make sure about your knowledge on the environment. You should have the adequate knowledge. When you have the adequate knowledge about the environment, then only you are enabled or able to give the information to the people and make them to people, isn't it? So in such a way, there are several various ways which are going to be shown very clearly. So all these aspects which are going to be quite common, all these aspects which are going to be seen in various sectors which are going to be associated of the complex set of environment. And here, the scope of environmental education, as we know, the scope of environmental is one of the most important areas of study. Most of the people need to understand their duties. The people need to understand their duties or their works and responsibility towards the environment. This is a major scope. The people should need to understand their duties, whatever their duties, and as well as their responsibility towards the environment. The scope of the environmental education can be explained in several ways. So they are the biological aspect, physical aspect, socio-cultural aspect are the major things. Biological, physical, and social cultural aspects. These are the major scope of environmental aspects. Let us see the first one, biological aspect. The most important aspects of environmental education are biological aspects. So the best example is the human beings. Humans are the bios, life. Biological means life being. The human beings. Other examples of biological aspects include animals. Like birds, insect, microorganisms, and plants. So several plants or several other animals which comes under biological aspect. This is one of the major scope of environmental education, isn't it? So it is a way of two most important areas. So each and every people need to understand their works, their duties. What is their duty to regarding the environment? What is their duty to regard the responsibility towards the better environment? Better environment. So this is a way to protect and promote and the need of environmental education. So biological aspect is any living being presence in the earth, any living being from small insects, microorganisms. So the microorganisms are the organisms which we cannot able to see with the naked eye. The microorganisms which we do not able to see with our naked eye, which can be studied or which can be viewable under the microscope only. They are very micro, they are very minute in size, so that we cannot see with our naked eye or even magnifying lens, which can be seen with the help of microscopes only. From that microscopes to microorganisms to the highly evolved animals like the human beings or the biological aspect. Coming to physical aspects, the physical aspect of environmental education is further divided into natural and man-made aspects. Physical aspects are two types, natural and man-made. It means nothing but artificial. Man-made nothing but artificial. So physical aspects includes air, water, land, climate, etc. What are the physical aspects? They are the air, water, land, and climate, which are comes under physical aspects, which are a natural physical aspects. On the other hand, man-made aspects includes man-made aspects, roads, highways, airports, railroads, buildings, bridges, dams, reservoirs, etc. Which are comes under man-made or artificial aspects, physical aspects. The human beings made all these roads made by human beings, highways, airports, rail stations, railroads, buildings, institutions, constructions, bridges, dams, reservoirs, all these comes under a man-made or artificial aspects. The last one, socio-cultural aspects. Socio-cultural aspects. So as we know, the practices which are cultures and traditions. What are the practices which we are doing? The cultures, what we are following. The traditions, what we are making. Which humans make to live in society. Today we have some traditions, some customs, some cultures which we are practicing every day. As we know, India has a very good culture. Not only we, other or foreign countries are also expressed the same way. They are saying the same way. India is a very well-being and tradition and cultural country. So here the practices, whatever the cultures and traditions which humans make to live in a society. We have some limits. As we are human beings, we have some limits. So beyond the limits, we can't behave ourselves, isn't it? So that each and every organism, it has some limits to sustain, or it has some limits to survive itself. So that is in society. Otherwise, it is not called as society. Yes, we are the human beings. We have some limits, isn't it? We have some guidelines. We have some limits. We have some laws. So that only we have to behave. If you have behaved beyond these conditions, you should be punishable, isn't it? Then you are going to be punishable. So whatever the tradition, that is why at least some conditions, those conditions which are going to stop us to behave beyond the permits, isn't it? So it can include the rules, laws, religious benefits, etc. The human beings with their efforts have created these. The human beings with their efforts have created all these. So whatever the functional behaviors or whatever the things which you are played, or how our attitude designed, isn't it? Our attitude also is designed by surrounding cultures. Whatever your neighborhood, whatever your surroundings, how they behave, we should also learn from those. We should also follow them. Yes, this is a way to behave. Otherwise, it's not good to behave. So such type of things or limits are comes under socio-cultural aspect. So this is about your last black. So the scope of environmental education, and mostly whatever the objectives or whatever the importance or whatever the scope of environmental education and awareness. So this is very general topic, environmental education and awareness. The name itself indication. The common questions will comes briefly explain about the environmental education and awareness. So you should write down. So environmental education is very essential to study about the environment, to know about the environment, to obtain about the knowledge of environment, to skill, isn't it? All the appropriate individuals. It enables to make them to responsible or to decisions towards the betterment of the environment. So common things you need to write in the environmental education and awareness. Yes, we should have the make the people awareness. We should make the people to aware in all these issues, so that only each and every individual can develop their duties and responsibilities towards the better environment. To make the awareness, to make the inspiration, to make the motivation among the people to about the richness or the knowledge has to be filled in the each and every human being mind. So we should have to enlighten their minds. We should have enhance their mind. So in all the aspects which we are going to be studied in a proper way, so that the environmental education and awareness should be done in the each and every living being in the nation. So whatever the phenomena or whatever the principles which are given by the environmental education, that should be reached each and every individual. The education, the importance of environmental education, the major aim of environmental education and awareness among the people So which are going to be very essential to each and every being or living being, so that only the environment can be natural state. Otherwise, it is going to be spoiled as early as possible without knowing the importance of natural resources. So which are comes under very, very general topic. You should write your, even if you know the concept, you can also write in your own concepts, our own statements, how we are going to educate and how we are going to awareness, and what are the scope and objectives of the environmental education and awareness. Okay. This is about the last block, environmental education and awareness. Okay. Yeah, my class is over. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.